I'm going to guide you through how to make a name keychain in Tinkercad. So there are a few options of how you can create your name keychain. When we come over here to our basic shapes, we could find features such as text, and we could see our text. We could find scribble tools. We could find a whole bunch of different shapes. One way to create it is to have a shape with your name on top of it. So I'm going to use my box tool just to make a simple rectangle. I can click and drag my white squares to adjust the size. I'm going to adjust this height down, make it a little bit bigger. And then I could take my text tool and place my text on top. And since my text is taller than my rectangle, it will stand out and my name will show up. This is one way to make sure that your name is all attached as you 3D print. We want to make sure that, for example, if you just used a text tool and I wanted to print this, it would print separately. This would not print well as it would all fall apart in the printer. So I am not going to use this as my strategy for creating this type of keychain. I used a rectangle. I placed my name on top. I could examine it from multiple sides to make sure that it is all attached. And I'm even going to make sure for my class purposes, we have a length, width, and height requirement. So I'm going to make sure that it is a maximum of 5. So I'm adjusting the rectangle to 3 and my name to 5. Right now, while this would be a rectangle with my name on it, I have no way of hanging it as a keychain. So a tool that I could use is I could come over and I could use my cylinder tool, but this cylinder is a hole. So I could place it on my rectangle. I'm going to adjust it slightly so that it is a size where it would fit. All right, and you can always switch it from solid to hole, depending on what shape you are doing. Gonna double check. I could use this top arrow to raise it up or lower it down. I want to make sure that it is at 0 on my work plane, so that it is the same as the remainder of my work. And I'm going to adjust it so that it is 5. It looks like it's not going all the way through my shape. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to bring it down. Now let me check. All right, now I can see that it is going through my shape. I'm going to select my whole shape. And up here, if I click the align button, I could actually make sure that it is aligned going up in the air. And I want it all to be even. All right, I want it all aligned to the bottom, and now when I look at it, I can actually see that the whole thing is underneath my build plate. So I'm going to raise it up so it's 0. All right, as you are working, you're going to want to check your work from different angles. You want to make sure that everything is the size that you want. And when you think you are all done, you could actually select all, group it together so it won't come apart. And we could see what our finished product would look like. All right, this program does autosave, which is great. So now my project is saved. I just created a name keychain which has a rectangular base. Now I want to show you a strategy for making a name keychain which would have individual letters. We looked and we saw that if we used the text tool, all my letters would be separate. So I'm going to delete this one and instead come over, and instead of basic shapes, I'm going to come to design starters. There's a section, a subcategory called letters and numbers. All right, there's actually a really cool thing that makes this a little easier. If you just drag in the key ring, all right, you could add your letters on top of it, and it'll be kind of like our previous one that we made on a rectangle. It just made your shape for you. So I'm not going to do the easy way though. I'm not going to create that type of keychain. Instead, I'm going to come and I'm going to look for all my individual letters that I need. All right. I'm going to be dragging and dropping them onto my work plane. And it might take a little bit of searching. It might take a little bit of loading more shapes to make sure that you can find all the letters that you need. Right now, I'm just dragging and dropping them in, and then I'll be able to spend more time organizing. So once I have all my letters here, I am going to make sure that they all attach. So if I look at them right now, they are not attached. They're very spread out. But what I need to do is I need to make sure that they are all attached to each other so I can see the overlapping between the two letters. That's how I'm going to know that they will stay connected to each other when I go to print. With this, all right, one thing that you might notice is like if I put my M next to my I, it kind of just looks like a really long M. So something that I could do is I could adjust the height between each letter to help them stand out from each other. So if this one was 5 high, but the M was 3 high, it will help differentiate them. You can also adjust them so they do not all line up at the bottom. That could be another strategy if that is a style that you like. All right, so I have much of my name. I need to take my Y and bring it over to the rest of my letters. And when you're doing that, you do need to make sure that you're not touching any of the rectangles at the edge. All right, this button here will zoom into your selected shape. I could bring it so that it is connected to my my L. I'm going to look at it from a few different angles, make sure that it's really connected. And I have my EMILY. Now that I have my whole name, I can select all of it to make sure it fits within my size criteria. So this is very small right now. I am allowed to have it 30 by 80. 80. All right, so I am allowed to have it this large. But one thing that I'm missing to be able to create it as a keychain is that it needs a key ring or a ring to attach it to. My previous one, I made a hole. For this one, I'm going to add a ring. So I'm going to come back to basic shapes. And if I scroll down, I could find a shape that will make my hole. I'm going to, again, make sure that it's overlapping with one of my letters. Adjust things like my height, my width, my length to change it to a size that I'm happy with. I could place it anywhere on my shape. So it could be at this bottom corner, it could be a top corner, that is up to you. But then I'm just going to select the whole thing and then make sure that my size is still in the proper requirement. This is a little big, so I'm going to adjust it. I'm going to take this down a little bit just so it's a proportion that I like. Select it all, group it together, and I have an individual letter style name keychain.